Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. And as soon as one of you is able to say that you can see and hear me, please let me know, or just give me a thumbs up when you come on, and I will know that there is connection across the universe of you and me. And so this morning I will be taking questions that you may have about anything spiritual, and so feel free to post your questions there. It could be about things that we have spoken about with Robert Bitzer, or it could be just an issue that you have in your life. Why not? So, Angela, you have won the Spiritual Mind Treatment of the week. So let me know for what you would like me to treat, and you've got it. And your presence is good enough for me, so let's get going. What should I treat for? I knew what I'm going to treat for. Ha 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 ha. All right. So this word is being spoken for each one. And if there is anyone you would like to have included, or any place or situation on the planet, just think of that now and know that this word covers them, because I am speaking in an infinite mind that knows all. And this infinite mind is omnipresent, everywhere present. There is not a spot where God is not. And so there is not a spot where any of God's qualities are not. So any belief that there is a place, a situation, a person where some quality of God is not, each one now knows that regardless of what may be showing up as a fact or circumstances, these divine qualities are present. And the truth is, this recognition of the presence of these qualities actually causes these qualities to emerge in a greater way than ever before. And so it is realized that the recognition of the divine or any of its qualities always demonstrates as a changed condition. And so this treatment right now is recognizing the divine qualities of life and more abundant life. That life is a life of vitality, of energy, it is the enthusiasm of divine spirit expressing itself. It is infinite, eternal, and it is forever becoming something new in form, and yet staying that which it is, changeless, eternal, life itself, a force, a presence, a beingness. This is a quality anywhere and everywhere, no matter what any is showing up to the contrary, no matter what someone's opinion may be. It is life taking new form in a greater, more marvelous way. Love, an eternal, ever-present quality. No matter what may be showing up in the human realm as miscommunication, confusion, or even a belief in conflict, the truth is, it is love that is the motivating force within. It is love that is seeking to express itself and to see itself in the eyes of the other, to hear itself in the words of the other. And so it is love that is always present. And each one here now connects with that love. And because that love is wise and an excellent teacher, this divine love is speaking to each one, its guidance, and revealing to each one the infinite ways that love can take form. Life, love, light. That ability to see the infinite possibilities yet to be. Seeing the light is seeing the truth, and the divine quality of seeing is for the sole purpose of seeing that which shall be created. Not to see that which is, because that already has been created, and already the divine has let that go, because it is always seeking to create the new, using what has been as a foundation, but so capable of rearranging all of the parts to be something absolutely unrecognizable from the past. And yet this vision, this light is omnipresent, and it has been given to each one to see the infinite possibilities yet to be for themselves, to see what is possible. And so with this divine quality of light is the divine quality of power, that which is seen, the power creates. And so each one is now fully aware of this activity between light and power, and is choosing to see that which he or she desires to see created, and the power says yes and makes it so. So that which is unseen but seen within is seen without, because of the light and the power to make it so. And with all of this happening, it is a consciousness of peace, a peace that realizes that anything can be seen, and what can be seen can be created. So this realization of peace is realizing that there is only one power. The motivating force is love. Only life is getting expressed. And so there is nothing outside of this one perfect presence of love. And so each one is seeing with ease and with vitality and with creativity whatever he or she desires to have experienced, and knowing that since all is one and all is love and all is expressing just more life, this is the consciousness of all for one and one for all. There is nothing to fear, and so there is perfect peace present in mind, in thought, in emotions, in experience, and in the activity of creation itself. There is nothing to fear. If the world or the boat is rocking, there is nothing to fear. And so perfect peace, the divine's perfect peace, is always present right where each one is, knowing it is all God, it is all good, and forward movement is happening from good to greater good according to that which has been seen in the vision. And with all of this, such harmony, such peace, such glorious interaction of the divine within itself, there is beautiful harmony and order everywhere that one looks. A beautiful unfolding of life from good to greater good in ways and means of goodness. And knowing all this to be so, omnipresent joy is there. It is not reduced to just an emotional experience. Joy is not the way somebody feels. It is not a mood. It is not an emotion. It is a divine quality, always present, always can be tapped into, regardless of whatever emotion anyone is feeling. The presence of joy is still there and can be touched within. It is the joy of knowing that this life is expressing abundantly, and love is the cause, and that which is seen is transforming each one's world, and that there is a power that is agreeing and making it so. There's no effort needed. There's no struggle needed. Beauty is the result in ways and means of peace and harmony and order. And with all this at work, the awareness of all this is a complete and total experience of joy, knowing that all is a creation of the divine and all is good. Each one is now emboldened to see that future with crystal clarity, and to accept it, and to travel that path of unfolding good, being changed by that which he or she sees, being remolded, reworked, having everything in one's environment reorder itself into a better order and better harmony than ever before. And know that with all of this exciting, changing, moving, going around, that each one is centered, that each one is calm, each one is in peace, knowing that he or she arrives safely in the fulfillment of that vision, and that arrival is just the beginning. And so this is life. This is the life that God is living. It is the life that is omnipresent. It is the life that is present right now, right where each one is. And each one is seeing this life and seeing it with divine wisdom and divine perspective, and seeing all the good that is within it, and seeing that living this life and creating something new in this life is a wonderful, empowering, joyous, freeing experience. And so each one is liking the way this life is and facing the future with vigor and with energy and with commitment and with a trust in the divine guidance and with a lightness in relating to oneself and one's particular emotional moving through the whole thing. There is love, there is blessing, there is joy, and oh my goodness, there is grace. And with all this, each one is now moving forward from good to greater good in ways and means of goodness. And this is just the beginning. I'm grateful this is so, and I let it go to that law. It's done, and so it is. That is the way it is. So, Reverend Rich will take us forward here. We find him on the screen. There you go.
I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping green spirits of trees, and the blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes.
So let's take this moment to decide what we are saying yes to. No victims are we. We claim that which we desire to have expressed. And so we claim from the infinite that which is yes, says yes to us. We claim what we say yes to, and we say yes to it.
Yes, we claim welcome. That's what we claim. That's what we're here for. I'm Jon Heron. I'm a practitioner here at this center. And we at CSL Princeton, what we are a loving, healing, and inclusive community which teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the well-being and spiritual growth of ourselves and the world. And that's what we claim. That's what we're here for. So on September 12th, we have a new class starting. Yay! Susan Neat, our practitioner, my prayer partner, is teaching this wonderful class in Mental Equivalent by Emmett Fox. If you're not familiar with Emmett Fox, this is going to be a treat. Because just like the talks that Reverend Karen has been given, what has been giving over the summer, Emmett Fox, his writing is so interesting, accessible. He covers both the highest principles of New Thought and the very practical aspects of living New Thought. And so this class, I'm really looking forward to it. I've been reading this book for years off and on. I have an Audible version I listen to in the car sometime. And so it starts on September 12th. All the details are on our Facebook page, CSL Space Princeton, on our website, cslprinceton.org. And you can just drop in for one class or take the full section of classes. I know that Susan said she's going to be recording them, so if you have to miss one, you'll be able to access that. It's very worth taking. And so in preparation for the class, of course, I read through the book again. It's not a very long book. And I listened to it again in my car. And yesterday I was reading something and I came across a perfect example of why I think Emmett Fox's writings are so inspiring for those of us who practice this teaching, for those of us who try to live it in our lives, which I guess is all of us, because you wouldn't be listening to this if you weren't doing that. We're all practitioners. So I found this one paragraph and I thought, this is really good. It's really inspiring and it really makes me think. And so I thought I'd just read that. Remember this: the door of the soul opens inward. If you will remember this, it will save you years and years of waiting for demonstrations. Write in your notebook, the one you carry in your pocket, not the one you keep locked in your desk. Or better still, write it on a card and place it on your dresser. The door of the soul opens inward. And pray that you may remember that truth every time you pray. You know what it means when a door opens inward. The harder you push against it, the tighter you close it. When you press or force or hurl yourself against it, you only close it on yourself. When you relax and draw back, you give it a chance to open. In all theaters and other public buildings, the doors open outward. The law insists upon this because crowds are apt to become panic-stricken and then they push. And if the doors opened inward, the people would imprison themselves. The door of the soul opens inward. That is the law. Relax mentally, draw away from your problems spiritually, and the action of God will open the door for you, and you will be free. So this is the class that Susan's going to be teaching, right? That's the very center of it, isn't it? It's the center of this teaching in so many ways. Ernest Holmes talks about that so many times, and I never really understood it until very recently. Do I understand it now? I don't know. I understand it more than I did in the past. That the effort says that I'm doing it from ego. That just stopping and knowing this is the truth, and this is the truth about me, and this is what the truth about me is. Simple as that. And I love that he says it'll save you years and years of waiting for demonstrations. I love that. So anyway, this is the welcome. This is what you are welcoming yourself to by listening to Reverend Karen's talk and Reverend Rich's music and Gary, who's the practitioner this week. Come to Susan's class. You'll be very glad that you do. Okay, thank you so much.
Emmett Fox was my introduction to New Thought, and I came to it through Alcoholics Anonymous. He was a big influence on Bill Wilson, and here I am. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. That we rest in God and say Amen.
Good morning. My name is Gary Torres, and I'm the licensed practitioner for today. I wanted to start with a little exploration of mind. We are, in a sense, all about mind. We can say there is only one mind. So, I'm leading a little guided meditation followed by an affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. If you would take a deep breath, hold it for a moment, let it go. You may close your eyes if you can do so safely. And take another deep breath, hold it for a moment, let it go. Now return your breathing to just its natural rhythm. And I want you to, in your mind, picture that you're on a path, and surrounding this path is a beautiful forest, and it is bright, and there are wonderful green plants on either side of the path, and you're walking along it, and everything is wonderful. You see the sun up in the sky, it's blue, the sun is shining brightly, and you hear birds off in the woods, and they're singing sweetly. And as you walk along a little, and you're just so totally attracted to this place, and you walk along a little bit, and it occurs to you that there's a fly buzzing around, and it's kind of distracting, and okay, you're not too thrilled about that, but you recognize that it's just something that's there. You continue walking, you come out of the woods into a huge field, and I'm reminded of Rumi's line that there's a field beyond good and evil. I'll meet you there. You're in this field and you walk, continuing on the path, and in the middle of the path, what for practical purposes might be the end of the path, the center of everything, you see a large, brilliantly colored, reflective crystal just hovering in the air. And this, you realize, is truly the center of energy. In Sanskrit, it is called Vajra. In Tibetan, Dorje. In Western philosophies, it has been called the Philosopher's Stone. It is something which transmutes base metal into gold, or spiritually, it is transmuting your normal earthly presence into a spiritual presence, which in reality it has always been. And you touch this stone and realize that it is not solid, but it's completely permeable, and you find yourself within the stone, looking around and seeing everything outside as it is, and realizing that what is in the center is your mind, your thinking. And in this spirit, I ask you to come with me into a spiritual mind treatment, an affirmative prayer. There is only one. It is God, Allah, Brahman. It is vibration, energy. It is love, light, life, power, peace, beauty, harmony. It is this that exists in the center of the universe, and this which is in the center of yourself. Knowing that this is true, you know that you have available to you the power, the energy, the truth that is the Spirit. And because that is true, you have the power and the energy to see the world as you would see it, and to make it so in your mind. Therefore, your surroundings seem to change. You're in harmonious, beautiful relationships. You're prosperous. You are energetic and truly alive. This is the work of Spirit in your life. I know that this is true, and I let this word go gratefully, joyfully into the Spirit, in which it is always already true, and so it is.
So it is.
There's a reason for the sunshiny sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when the love light shines all around us. So let that feeling you keep inside, and since you feel it, where your love can't hide, then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Well, let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow the smallest of trees, and let your love show. You know what I mean, it's the season. And let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love find you with all of your things, and let your love shine. You know what I mean, that's the reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candlelight. Must be the season when the love light shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and leave you under its love and embrace, and feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Yeah, let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow the smallest of trees, and let your love show. You know what I mean, it's the season. And let your love fly like a bird on the wing, let your love flow like a mountain stream. Let your love roll. If this falls to dreams and quick nothing, you know what I mean. It's the season. Oh, let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love find you. All the things that let your love shine. You know what I mean. It's the reason.
Okie dokie. All right. Well, so this Sunday, Labor Day weekend, marks for me the end of summer. And we've been focusing this entire couple of months, 3 months, I guess, on the collected essays of Robert Bitzer. And I still haven't plummeted the depths of all that is said here. But it's time to move on. So today we are completing our focus on this. And so one of the things that we are doing is Q&A. So if you have a question, feel free to post it here and I will attempt to answer it, or the divinity within me will answer it. And also I've been given some questions from those people who are here. I'll try to address them, as well as some other little things that I think are important. So question number 1, Wayne, out there in virtual land, has asked an interesting question, which I think I will attempt to respond to. I'm not sure I know exactly what you mean, but I'll go for whatever's coming through me. He asks, how can oneness faith spread like a virus of the mind? How can oneness faith spread like a virus of the mind? I love this question because it gives us the opportunity to get clear about so many things. Okay, so first of all, a virus is believing in something outside of yourself affecting you. So most people believe in such things. Most people on the planet believe that outside circumstances and other people can affect them. And because they believe it, they experience it. And so we do have those particular forms created out of that belief that we can be affected by something outside of us, by our environment. And so it is a fact, these things, are doing these things, but each one of us participates in it to the degree that we believe we are affected by that which is outside of us, by something that is a form, a fact, something that's a part of our external world. And Dr. Robert Bitzer, as well as all other of these great teachers in New Thought, absolutely teach. And some of those who spoke earlier and sang, you have to turn within, because what we have to do is start with our own inner self. And let that be our cause, let that be our guide, let that be our direction. And so the more you do this, the more that you might observe that what you have decided for yourself starts becoming what's in the world. And what you have decided for yourself, the world starts agreeing with. But if you don't decide what you want for yourself because you're so busy looking at what the world is doing, oh, I might get this, I got to do that, whatever. Okay, that's fine. I get it. But to the extent that you really believe that, you are a victim of it. And so our teaching is always about empowering ourselves in a greater day. Loving where we're at. It's okay. That's okay. I got a cold. It's okay. All right, I was scared. Okay. The economy crashed and all my money went right with it. Okay. It's okay if we experience the result of our hidden beliefs, but we don't have to stay there. So when we see that we've caught the influence of the world around us, we can say, wait a minute, something within me can be cause if I recognize it, and so let me now get to work recognizing it. So Now to answer your question, it's really easy to have faith, oneness, spread like a virus in the mind. Because most people in the human race will follow whatever anyone is clearly thinking in truth. We've got a herd of cats out there, or dogs, or sheep, or whatever, and we don't want to be one of them. We want to be one of the ones who is clearly thinking the truth, and then we will see that those around us begin to agree with it. They're open to it. You will hear coming out of them things that you would never have imagined. And so we don't have to worry about influencing by what we say to them. What we work on is influencing ourselves to know the truth. And then observe if the infinite mind starts spreading it around. So I did an experiment years ago, and you can do this too, and I've shared this with you a number of times because it was so bizarre. I was practicing choosing what I would think to affect me when I was surrounded by some environment that scared me or disturbed me in some way. And so I remember I used to work in a law firm, and periodically one of the lawyers would come in and speak with one of the secretaries, and she was hard of hearing, so they had to speak loud, and she sat right behind me. And they got into an argument, which they always did. And I'm sitting, 3 feet away, all this arguing is going on behind me. I'm trying to do my job. And I decided to turn within. And so I connected to that divine wisdom within me. And to myself, I didn't even mutter it out loud. To myself, I said, there is only God. 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 And I said it over and over to myself. Without them watching. I kind of like how to prop myself. Whatever. I did that. When I calmed down, I stopped. I came back to the present, and the secretary and the lawyer were talking calmly about God. And I was like, so do that. Try that. But again, Dr. Bitzer tells us, right? Start each day setting an intention of the good that we want this day. And so no matter who we're around, just assume, if you're watching this and you're present here, just assume no matter what group of people you are in, that you are the highest consciousness. Just assume it. And then it is up to you, or it's no guilt, no shame, because maybe you don't want to go there, but it is possible for you to choose the higher thought and influence, unconsciously influence everyone around you. So try it. Report to me. See how that goes. And then, yes, oneness faith spreads. This teaching, over 100 years ago, 150 years ago now, started as this little thing with a couple of people doing it. It went through some phases where it was considered, wacky and crazy. And now just about every minister talk title that I see anywhere, their talk title sounds like it's the science of mind. And this isn't them stealing our ideas, although I'll say that. It's the influence of what we have been knowing. These people, us, and our ancestors have been knowing the truth, knowing the truth, knowing the truth. It's starting to spill out all over the place. And so they didn't have to listen to my podcast to get these ideas. I always think that they do, right? It's like, I said that, I figured that, whatever. No one owns an idea. It's God's idea. And God's ideas are omnipresent. But as one of us stands in knowing God, one with God is a complete majority. And there have been evidences, right, of certain people who were so clear about the truth that they took a stand, and the whole world has been changed because of their consciousness. Their actions were small, but the whole world was watching them because of their consciousness. And if you go through their personal history, they had to grow into that consciousness. Gandhi and Nelson Mandela didn't start out at that consciousness. They admit they were bad boys early on, but they kept plugging away at listening to within and reached their own conclusions. And as a result, all of us are blessed by what that work they did. And so now what we need to realize is that is what is happening with everybody else. All right, so let me see. I just want to get, whoops, hang on. Okay, good. So there was a question in our audience. Someone asked, does anybody know anything about Dr. Robert Bitzer's early life? So at the beginning of this book, he has a little chapter. He calls it Demonstration Milestones, and it's his autobiography of his spiritual journey. So I just wanted to share a little bit of this with you. He says, my introduction to metaphysics per se came in a most unexpected manner. During World War I was a pilot in the American Air Force attached to the British forces. At one time, I was a patient in the officer's ward of a British Army hospital. I was experiencing excruciating pain. The medical doctors could not locate the cause, and their only thought was possible surgery. The mail brought me a book from my father. It was H. Emily Cady's Lessons in Truth, which I had never seen before. At random, I opened to a paragraph which said that intense criticism and emotional disturbance could produce great aggravating pain. This seemed to fit my case. In an adjoining bed was another American officer who was loud-mouthed, uncouth, and obnoxious. I was greatly disturbed because I felt he was giving the British the wrong impression of the Americans. As I read the paragraph, the pain stopped instantly. Without understanding the details of what took place, in letting go of the criticism, I came into the possession of a different attitude. This changed attitude toward the sick fellow officer released the bitterness and criticism. It freed me from irritability and pain. What a discovery. World War I. So from that beginning, he discovered something about truth. And he didn't understand what it was, but it affected him profoundly. It was a personal experience, which is what we teach. I mean, I could talk about my personal experiences, and you're like, oh, that's a great story. Love to hear it. But we are affected by our own. And only you, right? You know when you were here, and then you thought something else, and you're here. You go, whoa. And only you know you changed your thought. Because it's so invisible. Only you know when you changed your thought. And so we have to practice that, changing our thought, and then seeing. And yeah, the divine loves beginners. Right? So if you're watching this for the first time, you know, big benefits come if you just change your mind a little bit. Boom. Because it wants you to know the spiritual truth, and it gets you moving along your way. He began coming after he came through the war. He got out of the armed forces. He began researching and going to centers and communities like this one. And he said that about this time, two of his friends who had served in the war became sick, and both died. Rumor had it that they had not received proper medical attention. However, when I visited Virginia, where this has happened, all those reports were refuted. These men had received the best medical attention available. Immediately, my reaction was, it was not right for these friends to die. If medical science had done all it could, then there must be a higher power that could have saved them, and I resolved to find it. This was the start of my healing ministry. So this bad thing that happened to his friends profoundly affected him. And because of what happened to his friends, we're here this summer listening to what Dr. Bitzer's truth, what he had revealed. We are blessed by the passing of his friends. And we never even knew them. What is good? What is bad? It's a long, long life we're living. And we're connected. And we don't always, and most of the time, never see the connections. And how something that certainly the loved ones of his friends and Dr. Bitzer himself were upset, sad, grieving, and that was theirs to experience. But because of that, something happened to good old Robbie here, and we've been blessed because of it. And so we want to acknowledge those two people for the good that their experience has brought to us. And because we're in this teaching and because we believe in infinite eternal life, we know that they exist, that they're somewhere on another plane of action, that they still are here, and that they can, I just got to chill. They could be right here, right now in this room, and hearing me say, thank you. Thank you. We all, right, are blessed by our ancestors. Every one of our ancestors, right, was a survivor of some horrific thing, at least long enough to, create a child who became part of our line of ancestors. And so we want to thank them all and bless them all. I don't know if I'm diverting off the topic, but moving right along. Anybody else have a question out here that they've stuck in here? Damaris, can you elaborate on the term spiritual coin, which I did use last week, as you were speaking of increasing one's renewed consciousness? Yeah, I kind of just threw that in. In our Science of Mind textbook, there's a sentence that's in all bold, and I know I'm not remembering it clearly, but that we have to pay the price of growing into greater good, I'm definitely paraphrasing, by mental and spiritual coin. In other words, Robert Bitzer says this: the success consciousness must be fed. It must be stimulated. Your success idea of last year may be obsolete. Today requires new vision, new methods. You can increase your consciousness of good. The new spell-binding project will not come to the indolent, nor the person who is satisfied in believing that he is doing all that he can do. In other words, we are responsible for the effort, paying the price, of growing our consciousness. Otherwise, we've got the mental equivalent that we've got. And we've got Susan who's addressing our mental equivalent. Your mental equivalent of life is, take a look at it, that's what you've got right now. You've got a mental equivalent of how much money. You've got a mental equivalent of how easy your life is going to be. You've got a mental equivalent of God, of what relationships are like. And Dr. Bitzer calls us to grow, and to grow a mental equivalent requires conscious effort. It's not working hard by the sweat of our brow, but it's by becoming more aware and being willing to face what we're afraid of. And by calling more and more on spiritual practice to support us. That's the mental and spiritual coin that Ernest Holmes is talking about and that Bitzer agrees with, is that we have got to put forth the effort to grow. And so what we want to remember, what he said, I mean, really, this effort is so little, right? How many of us have been around here from the beginning of these summer talks and remember his recommendation that you start each day setting your intention of what you want to experience that day. Write it down. How many of you are still doing it besides Regina? I can't raise my hand. I forgot. But that's the mental and spiritual coin that we have to do. And so I forgot. I don't do it every day, but I still do it when I remember, and I definitely do it when I'm afraid. When I've got something that I feel I can't handle. What makes me think I can handle the rest of my life, you know, as part of human personality, I guess. Oh, I got it, God. I don't need your help today. Yeah. Right? Right? But right when you don't set your intention, that's what we're unconsciously saying, right? But when we're scared, when we've got an issue, man, we're there every morning, every day, 24 hours a day. God, you got to help me. God, you got to help me. Blah, 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 whatever. We're doing our spiritual work. So what we want to learn how to do is our spiritual work daily. Get it so that it's a regular habit, so that we can grow following our vision of greater good rather than grow by getting kicked in the butt with our old beliefs. Right? Okay, so that was reminder number 1. Each day, write down your intentions. Number 2, see if you can remember this one. Anybody know what it is at the end of the day? People. Anybody?
Gratitude.
All right, gratitude to, thank you. Yes, John, our practitioner, said, begin to give yourself credit. Rejoice in the divine you. Recognize it as a center of power. Good things are coming to you because you know they belong to you. In other words, that mental and spiritual coin that you are doing, you want to be praising it so that you do it more. You want to be building faith in yourself, able to direct the law. You want to be building a belief that you are a good being and that you're doing a good job with your life. Raymond Charles Barker described, I think, happiness as the state of believing you're doing a good job living your life. It doesn't matter what might be going on, but that sense of satisfaction, I'm doing a good job living my life. We all want that, and that's a healthy thing to have. But Dr. Bitzer tells us we've got to make a list. Your way is easy because you give yourself credit for being a creative thinker, living harmoniously with the consciousness of good. Keep adding to your list, and every time something good comes to you, be quick to give yourself credit. Right? How many people remember that? Ah, I got a hand up. Abby said it. Abby says she's doing it. All right, Abby. See, the young grab onto this and they grab on, and they grow so fast that you can't even find them anymore. They're gone. Okay, good. You grow, girl. You. Okay. So that's the second spiritual practice. So we set our intention every morning, and then at the night we go, yeah, did it, done it. Or if it didn't happen, well, at least I showed up. At least I tried. Or at least I got through it. I got there somewhere. So last week I shared with you I was going to face a giant fear. You're all waiting to hear that, right? And so this is what I have to report. facing your fear. There's two different kinds of fears. There's the fear of doing something that will be over with when you take one action. I'm afraid to have a conversation with so-and-so, and so you do your spiritual work, and you finally pick up the phone, or, your cell phone, you text, you email, whatever, you see them, whatever, and you finally, calling on divine love to speak through you, you say what you need to say, and you find out you completely misunderstood what they had meant, and that what you had built up in your mind as all those nasty motivations that other person had, it turned out that no, they were actually trying to tell you that they liked you. And you heard something totally. I mean, it turns out to be so much easier than you expected to be. We find that frequently with projects, like our income taxes, or some mess that you've got on your desk or in a drawer, or something that you've been putting off, some sort of procrastination of a task. You find that when you finally take a deep breath, call on the divine to guide us, begin doing it, you find out it's easier than you thought. So that's one way. That's one kind of fear. Then there's another kind of fear. And I hope every single one of you are facing this kind of fear right now. It is a fear that when you start facing it, you are filled with terror and pretty much immobilized. And so, as I shared with you last week, I love rowing. I had joined a rowing club 7-8 years ago, and I had really participated full out until they announced everyone has got to serve as being the coxswain, which is the person who sits in the boat and tells everyone else what to do. It's the person that is totally and completely and solely responsible for what happens to the boat and everyone in it. The safety of everyone in the boat and the boat itself and all the equipment absolutely rests upon the coxswain's shoulders. And 7 years ago, when they said everybody's got to do it, we'll give you some training, I went to the training, and it wasn't enough, and I freaked, and I never went back. Now, I never said I quit. I kept paying my dues every year. And every so often I'd look at the roster and go, oh, I should row, but I never did, because they might make me the coxswain, and I knew I didn't know how to do it. So I got tired of carrying this fear in me. It wasn't about learning how to be a coxswain. I was carrying this fear in me, even though I was avoiding it for 7-8 years. I felt it. It was always present in me, and I knew it was blocking my good on every area of my life. So this past week I made that decision, and I announced to you that I was going to face it. And I did. And facing it was every bit as horrible as I thought it would be. I want you to know this, because that other kind of fear, you face it, oh, that was easier than I thought. It was dreadful. I was shaking in my boots throughout. I did not know how to do it. And everyone could tell I didn't know how to do it. The rowers had to follow whatever I said, even though they knew I was telling them what to do wrong. And I felt horrible. I felt absolutely horrible. And I felt, Monday morning was my first day, I was so terrified I could not treat, but I felt your treatment work and prayers for me. I felt the terror drop down so that I could function. But I really still felt the terror. And Dr. Bitzer will be proud. I set an intention. I said, today, all I want to learn, I only want 2 things. I want to understand where the equipment is that the coxswain has to know and how to use it. And number 2, please, 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 God, don't have me ram the dock with the boat when we come back in. No one could help you there. The coach is out. You're all alone there with the rowers, and you're having to steer them into the dock so that they all can get out. Please don't let me ram the pier. Success. Those two intentions were met. The rest of it was a disaster, a total disaster. I felt good that night. Even with all the terror and the dread of doing it again, I felt good. I met my intentions. I felt good. And on Wednesday morning, when I went to do it again, I said, well, I know how to do the equipment. And my intentions for today are to give whatever commands I think I know. And please, God, don't let me steer the boat into the dock when we're coming in for landing. And so I felt a little more confidence because I know how to do the equipment. It wasn't much, but I knew how to do that piece. And so another total disaster and mistakes made all over the place. I'd give a command and the coach or some of the rowers would say, no. They'd give me another command, whatever. Okay. But everybody was helping me. And yes, and I brought the boat in even better to the dock than before. And someone was standing there on the dock and grabbed the oars and pulled us in. So, mission accomplished. On Friday morning, I thought through it, and I'm like, I don't think I can learn anything more out on the water because my steering is a disaster, and I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know how to fix it. And I hadn't practiced the commands, so they weren't going to be any better. And I said, I want to ride in the boat with the coach and understand the lake. Because when I was steering, I had no clue where we were or where we should be. And so when I got there, the number of people that were there was just enough so someone had to ride with the coach. And I volunteered, and someone who had been a cox before was the cox. So I got to see how the water was laid out from a different point of view than the rower. But here's the blessing, folks. The cox, who knows how to do it and has done it before, could not steer the boat. And the coach said, there's something wrong with the rudder on that boat. I got to fix it. If I had been the coxswain, everybody think, well, she still can't figure out how to do this thing. But because I wasn't, someone who was experienced was doing it, her boat was going off in the same direction that mine was, just going off anywhere on the whole lake. And you're like, what's wrong? And when she came out, she's like, I couldn't steer that boat. What the heck? I've been a coxswain before. I know how to steer the boat. I don't understand. It just kept going off to the right. I'm like, no kidding. It just kept going off to the right, you know? So again, intentions that I set on Friday, I got. The power of intention. Now, you could see they were baby steps. You could see it's still, to be determined whether I'm ever going to get this or not. But I'm receiving my intentions. I'm learning what I set out to learn. And so one comment that I've heard from many, many, many people regarding my experience here is, oh, Karen, I'm sure you weren't that bad. Now, there's two different types of people who say that to me. There are people who really are attempting to support me, and they love me. So I'm not talking about you, and you know who you are. But there's other people who say that, oh, Karen, you're not that bad. And I think what the second group of people are saying is, you're different than me. You're better than me. You're not that bad. You'll be able to do it, but I never could. I have had a few people, I think, who are making me an exception so that they don't have to follow the rule themselves. So if that's you, you're wrong. That's why I want to make it so clear, the agony that I went through. Because, and people are saying, oh, you're so courageous. I'm like, courage? All I did was show up. I mean, all of you were treating for me. I mean, not alone. I had everybody in the world treating for me. And after Wednesday, I said to all the other rowers, I said, I'm setting the standard of learning how to be a coxswain really low for you guys, so that you'll all feel like, well, at least I'll do better than her. Because no one in that boat wants to learn how to be a coxswain because of all the responsibility that it entails. And they all know they have to go through it. And being a rower myself, I'm with them. Anyone else besides me, I would rather have that job. I'll follow you. I don't care what mistakes you make. But what the point I want to make is, I'm no different than anyone else. I'm scared. I'm bad. I don't know how to do it. I don't do it well. I learn slow. And yet, I can still do it. And so can you. But we have to, I could not have done it without the spiritual practice. I swear to you. Because 7 years ago, I quit. But I've grown in these 7 years, having to talk to all of you each week. Eventually, I listen to what I'm saying. And so, you know, I had talked myself into a corner last Sunday. You all were here. You all watched me. I said, I'm really afraid. And you're all like, well, we're waiting. So I had to do it. All week long, I kept thinking, oh, it's Sunday, they're all going to want to know that I just showed up. All I have to do is just show up. Just show up. Just show up. Yeah. But, you know, if you remember that opening scene in Wide World of Sports, there's that thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. But these people have the consciousness, that guy who was in the agony of defeat, he got back up. He might have needed to get fixed a little bit, but he kept skiing. He kept doing that because that which is within us is seeking to come out. And so if you've learned anything from this summer, those spiritual practices, I think, are gold. And not to be forgotten and to be used when you need them, but eventually to be used all the time, to always improve your life and make it better. I don't know what's going to happen with my particular rowing experience, but I know that it's been a long time since I faced that much fear in me. And I don't want it to be that long before I do it again. So who knows what I might show up and do next, right? Don't you want to have that kind of life? Where even you yourself are surprised by what you do, by what you become? So we had that one question. How do you expect to be someone who is consistently having energy, focus, and the passion to show up for their dreams if you can't even show up for yourself? Remember that question? Daily, dedicated spiritual practice. And then the questions were showing up for yourself. How much gratitude do you give to yourself consistently every day? How much appreciation of yourself do you give to yourself every day? And how regularly do you acknowledge the person you've become and the obstacles you've overcome? How regularly do you do that? That's daily, dedicated spiritual practices. And so Bitzer tells us, and Damaris's question, we've got to pay the price. But the price isn't working harder, doing it the same way. The price is the spiritual practice, making that decision. Bitzer says, I wanted to read it here, but I'm not sure that I'm going to flip to the right page. He says that we have got to keep growing ourselves. It requires action. I think I actually know where it is. Okay, he had these 5 little steps. See the self of you in action. What you see in mind, you can see as your objective form. See yourself expressing creatively. Give power to what you see yourself doing, and do it. That's 5. Do it. You must take the action. Your vision leads the way and you follow. You must do what is yours to do. You must take the steps forward. You must show up. You might get all the help in the world. And believe me, this past week, the coaches, the other rowers, and then the U.S. national team is training there. So as I'm pulling the boat into the dock, there they are. And as I'm telling the rowers how to carry the boat through the parking lot to get it back into its little dock, the U.S. national team had to stop carrying their boat to let me go by so that we didn't crash into each other. And I didn't even see them. I mean, we all were, the boat was going by and I saw them just stopped, standing there like looking. And I'm like, sorry, I'm a new coxswain, so sorry. And they didn't laugh or anything. They just stood there. And I still showed up. So if I did it, you can do it too. Public humiliation is not that horrible. I'd rather not, but there it is. All right, so with those thoughts in mind, let's move forward. Reverend Rich has got something to sing, hopefully reassuring.
No.
You can spend your whole life building something from nothing. One storm can come and blow it all away. Build it anyway. You can chase a dream that seems so out of reach. You know it might ever come your way. Dream it anyway. God is great, but sometimes life ain't good. When I pray, don't always turn out like I think it should. Steer it anyway. Steer it anyway. This boat's gone crazy. It won't go your way. Lost it. Believe it anyway. You can love someone with all your heart, and in a moment they can choose to walk away. Love them anyway. God is great, but sometimes life ain't good. When I pray, don't always turn out like I think it should, but do it anyway. I do it anyway. You can pour your soul out singing the song you believe in. Tomorrow they'll forget you ever sang. Sing it anyway. Yeah, sing it anyway.
Perfect song, right? So this word is being spoken for each one. Look, there's only one life. It's God's life. And God's life is a great and glorious life. And this is the life each one is living, whether they're aware of it or not. And so I am knowing that each one is living this great and glorious life. And if there is anything that stands between them and experiencing this great and glorious life, this beautiful vision of their future self. I am knowing that everything in heaven and earth is supporting him or her to face that so-called obstacle, despite any fear, despite any difficulty, despite anything that's happening, but also because there is a God that is omnipresent. Each one is able to move forward from good to greater good in ways and means of goodness, no matter what that particular moment of movement may be. And in the experience, each one is empowered, inspired, and freed, and able to feel joy, the joy of knowing that God is there for them in a unique and wonderful way, which is theirs and theirs alone. This is the truth. I'm grateful that that's the truth. I release this word to God, the law, it's done, and so it is.
So it is.
Sit down. Amen. Amen. Amen.
There we go. All right. So thank you all for coming. And if any of you are facing the terror of your life, please reach out to me for some spiritual support. I am here for you. So Tina, thank you so much for being here. Abby, yeah, look at her. The young have jumped right on. And Craig, Dan, Angela, Raul, good to see you. Marilyn, I talked to you, Wayne, Clee, and Angela. So have an interesting week. Bye-bye. Okay.